I am honored to introduce to you next Bill Caruso, General Counsel and Vice President of Regulatory Affairs.
It is my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Anna Johannes, Paralympic medalist and graduate of DeVry University. Anna was born without a left hand and forearm due to a birth defect called amniotic band syndrome. Yet it was hardly disabling, as Anna competed on able-bodied swim teams from a young age. After several years of developing her skill, she attended her first Paralympic swim meet in 2004, and in 2012 earned a bronze medal in the London Paralympic Games. While training for the 2016 Rio Games, Anna was working towards her bachelor's degree in business administration and graduated summa cum laude at DeVry University. In 2018, Anna finished her MBA with distinction from DeVry's Keller Graduate School of Management. Anna is now a board member for Adaptive Sports New England, where she advocates for all kids with disabilities to have the same advantages she did. Please give a warm welcome to Anna Johannes.
Hello there. First of all, I've heard a lot of national anthems in my time, a lot of them, and that, goosebumps, tears, I'm a crier, that was amazing. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, distinguished members of the board, faculty, and of course, the class of 2019. I have a few special shout outs before I begin. First, to my dad, who's here today from Virginia. You have always and will always be my inspiration for learning. Growing up, you helped me understand why math needed letters, even though I consistently fought you on it. You always had the answers to any of my random questions before Alexa was invented. You are just an all-around Renaissance man, and I'm so lucky to have you in my life. Like I said, I'm a crier, I apologize. Second, to all the amazing staff who I couldn't have done any of this without. To my first counselor here at DeVry, Diana, who helped me finish statistics during the flu, a concussion, and a nasty fall. To Christina for signing up for all my courses and listening to my panicked voice messages I would leave at 11 p.m. on Sunday nights about how hard managerial accounting was, even the second time around. To Amanda, who set up every master's degree class for me so I had an exact plan on how I was going to go back to school. And lastly, to the Career Services Department, who assisted with my resume building and practice interviews. Thank you so, so much. Now, we have all been brought to this point in our lives for many different reasons. It's kind of like those commercial breaks that are like, Friends, brought to you by. So today I have been brought to you by definitions and basements. So let me explain. Right out of the gate, I was born with one hand in a third world country in a small town and was defined as different, as incomplete. It was written in stone that I would not be adopted. But by all odds, two people who were destined to be my parents made the trip halfway around the world to adopt me. And I was brought to the United States. Through being completely oblivious and being encompassed by love, I never really thought of myself as disabled. And my parents made no point to tell me. I'm sure at times they defined me as stubborn, dramatic, feisty, but never disabled. When I was around 5 years old, I found out that I loved swimming, and swimming ended up loving me. Fun fact, swimming is mostly an upper body sport, so. Again, people, because of what they thought they saw and what they thought they would define me, they would told me maybe I'd be better at ballet or soccer, but I was never very good at listening. But because of a mother who always fought for me, and being lucky, with coaches who never coddled me, even though sometimes I wish they would, I began to rise in my swimming career. I got to prove at every time I went to a meet that I belonged there, and I could even kick some butt. I had all the normal thoughts that ran through a growing child's mind. I wanted to be a marine biologist and swim with the dolphins every day, because that's what I assumed that they did. I ran around with the boys and was constantly proving I could do more than what was expected of me. And because of this mindset, I have broken several bones along the way. For example, I tried to do the monkey bars with my friends, but I swung around, broke both the bones in my forearm, and the reason I was up there in the first place is because before anyone asked me, I was put on the sidelines, and I had to watch all my classmates do the monkey bars without me. So I only got to the third rung, but I count it. So the definition of disabled came around again. Then I got to high school, and I started to have all the normal thoughts a teenager girl has. Wondering about who likes me and who doesn't, and oh dear Lord, what is that on my face? And wondering about my definition, but the definition of disabled always hid around in the shadows. Then I got out to the Olympic Training Center to train with the Paralympic resident team, where being defined as disabled was a good thing. And it put me in a group of amazing people. We worked our butts off, and most of us earned our spots on the 2012 London Paralympic team, where I was ecstatic to earn a bronze medal. And yes, I cried a lot during that too. After all of that, I got back to work and started training for Rio. But then, because I'm quite literally a fish out of water, I slipped and fell on ice, causing me to sublux or dislocate my shoulder and get a concussion in the process. Little did I know, I actually tore a ligament, and I continued to swim on this for about 8 months. Once I figured that out, I had to have my first surgery. My new definition was injured. I fought like hell just to be able to raise my arm over my head again. From there, I worked with my home team, Machine Aquatics, incredible collegiate athletes, and one of the best coaches I've ever known, and an even closer friend, Chuck. I just wasn't quite myself, though. In March 2016, I had to have my second surgery, which unfortunately was career-ending. From 5 years old to 22, I defined myself as a swimmer. And then in one day, in one OR, and in one slice, I wasn't. It's like starting from scratch. It's like being dropped in another universe where I had to completely redefine myself in a society that I was not prepared for. Which brings me to my basements. One of my coaches loved the expression, "You can't fall out of a basement," which means you can't get any lower from here. And I found my new basement. I had to retire from competing, figure out how to eat like a normal human being, how to find new strength within my person instead of just my body, and finish my work at DeVry University. I had to completely redefine who I was as a person, and it nearly broke me. But the good news is that you can fill in those basements with a foundation. I finished my undergraduate work 1 month after getting my first real-world job. I had filled in my basement with a degree and a job for my resume. I couldn't fall out of that basement. Since then, I have continued to work on that foundation. We have all had to do this. We all know that to be successful, success itself has to be a habit. What I want to make clear today is that with this habit of hard work, dedication, and success, you have built a foundation to be ever defined as a graduate. By completing your degree at DeVry University and Keller Graduate School, you have created a launching pad for your future that no one can take away from you. Through all of this, what I figured out is that I get to decide how I'm defined. People may see me a certain way, or may see you a certain way, but I know who I am and how hard I've worked, and I know that I can't fall out of my basement. So my closing thoughts are, what will you let define you? I focused so much on what others thought of me that I didn't think about what would happen if I got to choose. So make sure from now on, you choose. You get to choose what happens next. And know that no matter what happens, you have stamped your ticket to success and will only go up from here. Congratulations, class of 2019.
Thank you, Anna. To recognize the academic